Hey, what's going on, Podcast PD listener, viewer? This is going to be the recording of episode number 149 of Podcast PD. My name is Chris Nesi, and very excited for this video, this episode, because I'm going to be talking about two topics in this episode. One is going to be end-of-year tips for teachers and summer professional development opportunities. If you are checking out this video and you're not subscribed to the podcast, make sure you go over to podcastpd.com/go, and that will take you to a page where you can subscribe to Podcast PD. Now, AJ Bianco may join me in this recording. He has not yet joined the call yet, and that's okay. Hopefully you'll want to come out and hang out in future episodes. We do these live streams once a month, and here we are, the beginning of June. Typically it's the end of the month, but last weekend was, Memorial Day and all those things. So we are looking to get back on track. All right. So I'm going to get started with this recording of the episode. Enjoy. Make sure you get subscribed, and let's have some fun doing some Podcast PD. Coming up on episode 149 of Podcast PD, I am talking about end-of-year tips for teachers and summer professional development opportunities and ideas. Let's start the show. This is Podcast PD, the show that provides you with anytime, anywhere professional development. Our conversations and guests will provide you with the learning you might get in a faculty meeting or on a PD day. Except you're going to have more fun with AJ Bianco and me, Chris Nesi. Let's start the show. What is going on, podcast people? Chris Nesi here for Podcast PD, and I am flying solo on this episode. Welcome to episode 149. It has been a minute, but thank you for making See, it's been a little bit. Thank you for making Podcast PD a part of your anytime, anywhere professional development. A couple of housekeeping things since our last episode. Want to give a nice shout out to a couple of podcasts that have joined the Education Podcast Network since our last episode. And first shout out goes to the Education Connection podcast, and that is hosted by Robin Wilson. That's about collaborating across classrooms, whether you're talking about public, private, or the homeschool setting. Shout out to Robin and her podcast. Second podcast that is new to the Education Podcast Network is Why Edify. All right, Why Edify, and that is, as I pull up the rest of the title, helping teachers become happier, healthier, and stronger. And that's hosted by Jeremy Jorgensen. All right. So head over to edupodcastnetwork.com and check out those two new podcasts on the network. And of course, we've got Education, Leadership, and Beyond, The Empowered Principal, Fresh Air at 5, The Inspired Teacher, House of Ed Tech, SEL in EDU, Behind the Mic, Teaching, Learning, Leading K-12, Tech Tools for Teachers, and Transparency in Teaching. Podcasts are so easy to listen to, right? And again, thank you for making this one a part of your anytime, anywhere professional development. All right. No AJ Bianco today, and that is quite all right. Let's get into the first topic for this episode, and that is end-of-year tips for teachers. So I've got 7 things that I want to share with you here at the end of the school year. Now, if your school year has ended already, or you are listening to this well past June, or it's not quite the end of the school year in the future, come back to this episode. Listen, take some notes, think of some things you could do at the end of the school year. Let's get into it. Number 1, celebrate growth, not just grades. Let's help our students reflect on their academic, social, and emotional growth. A great activity you could consider having students work on is, and I remember doing this as a kid, and I've still done it even electronically today, have students write letters to their future selves, or create some type of like a top 10 list, right? The top 10 things I learned this year, and promote reflection for them. And maybe with your students, you can do the same thing. Maybe, I'm pretty sure, there are things that you learned this year right along with your students. Now, what you share with your students versus maybe what you do for yourself in the top 10 list, that might be two different things. But celebrate the growth. It's not just about, again, for kids, it's not just about getting A's and B's and C's. Although maybe depending on how you are grading and assessing, maybe you do have a handful of students that have shown growth over the course of the school year. And, maybe they started out the year with maybe an F or a D, and they worked hard. Maybe now they're busting their butts and they're getting a C, or they went from a D to a B or a C to an A. Celebrate the growth. But it doesn't just have to be about the grades, because grades are not the only measure of success. Number 2, student feedback. Consider creating an anonymous end-of-year survey to get feedback on what worked, what didn't, and how your students felt in your class. You can use Google Forms, you could do it on paper. There's any number of ways you can get this information from your students. I have done this over the last couple of years, and it has proven to be very fruitful. When I'm teaching courses at Rutgers, the student take a survey at the end of every semester. So I've actually adapted some of those questions to be used with my high school students about me and my teaching style and things that we've done over the course of the year based on how the class kind of operates and flows during the school year. So get the feedback from your kids. They could be very critical. Let's be honest. But with anything, you are not as great as the most glowing piece of feedback you get, and you are not as bad as the most negative thing that a student might say about you. So don't take it personally. Take it as an opportunity to, again, reflect, which might be the overarching theme of this episode. Number 3, clean and organize. Get your students involved. Help them help you clean up the classroom. Packing things up, labeling, cleaning things, although don't put the chemicals in the hands of your kids. That's never a good idea. I'm sure there is some video we watched of, whether it's bloodborne pathogens or the OSHA video. Don't have your students spraying Lysol on the desks, but they can certainly help you pack stuff away. In doing that, have a system. Are you changing classrooms? That can be a jarring thing. Last year, I experienced that. I'm in a new classroom this year, and thankfully, I don't have to worry about being in a new classroom next year. So the way I pack things up and kind of undecorate, and I don't have to pack it all up as if I was never there. So that's a good thing. Do what you got to do for your classroom. Number 4, document your success. Save the best student work examples. Save the class photos that you took. What were the accomplishments? What are you most proud of? If you haven't been documenting things, when you start the next school year, make a point of saving these pieces of evidence that can remind you and reinforce the good things happening in your classroom. Document your successes. Consider creating a digital portfolio. Maybe doing a slideshow. Have all your students contribute to some sort of class wrap-up slideshow. Now, if you teach upper grades and you have multiple classes of, 12 to 30 students, you get to make a lot of them. But have each group involved, because we all know, especially at high school level, every class has its own personality. So, how can we document it? Number 5, reflect professionally. Jot down notes about what worked during the school year. Now, you may have already done that. You might be jotting down notes and keeping a log or a record of what's going on in your lesson plans. Reflect on that. Maybe if you didn't, really sit down and think about the activities, the units, what did you have in place for behavior and your classroom management? What tech tools got the job done for you this year? What are you looking to do for next year? Maybe there are tools that you used where you're like, you know what? This is not going to cut it. So eliminate it. Or maybe reevaluate how much or when you're going to use it. Or if it didn't work, think about why the tool maybe didn't do what you wanted it to do. Because, yeah, some tools are bad, but maybe if we use them a little bit better, then their performance and the impact that they can have on our teaching and student learning will be improved. Number 6, appreciate and recognize. This is a big one that you shouldn't just wait till the end of the year to do. You should be, and you should, thank your colleagues for all the great conversations, the collaborations, the fun you have, whether it's on your prep period or during lunch, or if you co-teach a lesson or a unit, or you collaborate with a colleague. Thank them if you haven't already. Thank the aides. Thank your administrators. Thank your students. And consider doing this either verbally face-to-face, or if you have the time and the wherewithal, handwritten notes go a long way. And that could be something very powerful for anybody you give a handwritten note to. Also, consider for next year, start a Google Doc of thank yous and document it throughout the year. So when it gets to the end of the year, or maybe on a quarterly, trimesterly, semesterly, marking periodly, get your thank yous out there. I think that could be really, really powerful. Number 7, leave a message for the next you, future you. Write a letter or create a checklist for your future self. For you, when you come back to school, maybe it's August or September, for the next school year. Include things like, for example, don't forget this first day activity, or use the new classroom library setup. Create some notes for future you. That could be very inspiring, and certainly when we all go on summer vacation, our memories, we kind of check out. You know it's a good summer when you don't know what day it is. You know it's a good summer when you don't know the date. So how can we expect us as educators to remember all the good ideas we have at the end of the year and all the things we said throughout the school year about, I'm going to do this next year. I'm going to do this in September. I'm going to write it down. Leave a message for future you. All right. That is the end of the year tips. So again, we talked about celebrating growth, student feedback, cleaning up and organizing your classroom and your teaching space, documenting success, reflecting on what you do professionally, appreciating and recognizing other people who help you do what it is that you do. And the last one, again, was leaving a message or write down your ideas for future you. So that way, when you come back to school, you remember what you want to do and what all your good ideas are. Now, before we get into the summer professional development ideas, I want to take a moment to remind you that if you enjoy Podcast PD, you can become an executive producer. So if AJ and I are providing you value, whether we are entertaining you, educating you, inspiring you, and you're getting value, and you'd like to give some of that value back, you can become an executive producer of Podcast PD. You can support the show on a monthly or a yearly basis. And whatever support we're able to get, we certainly do appreciate. Want to give a nice shout out to our current executive producer, Stephanie Scrocky. She's been with us for a couple of years now, and we appreciate her support, and we would certainly appreciate your support. If you'd like to become an awesome executive producer of Podcast PD, go to podcastpd.com/executive producer, and you can support Podcast PD today. All right, second half of this episode, going to talk about some summer professional development ideas. Number one, read a book. Read many books. There are I feel stupid saying that there are so many books out there. Find a book that you want to read that's going to impact what you do and what you teach. Maybe it's a book that will reinforce something you are already doing in your classroom, and there's a little bit more to learn about that topic or that thing. Maybe you need to just kick back and escape mentally into fiction, romance, mystery, murder. Read a book. A book I'm looking forward to rereading this summer is Start With Why by Simon Sinek. That book focuses on leadership and purpose, and I think I need a reminder of purpose, but that's a Podcast PD or House of Ed Tech episode for another day. But I'm going to be rereading Start With Why by Simon Sinek. What are you going to be reading? Please send us an email or shout us out on social media at podcastpd.com on Blue Sky. I am at Mr. Nessie on Blue Sky. If you're not following, let us know what you're doing there. Use the hashtag PodcastPD and let us know what books you're reading this summer. We would love your recommendations as well. Number two, and this is the Podcast PD House of Ed crossover segment, explore some EdTech tools. Try a new EdTech tool for education. Maybe you've never used Canva before. Try Canva. Sign up for your free teacher account, or Book Creator, or Classcraft. There are so many tools out there. Funny story, I finally paid for something. I know, right? Free has always been my favorite four-letter F word, but I finally had to spend money. And I gave some dollars to Padlet because of what I do at Rutgers and some things that I do in the high school history classroom. 3 free Padlets just wasn't cutting it anymore. So I pay for Padlet now. I know, it's crazy. But I have more Padlets available, and they've got some great features, and I really take advantage of it for the ability to post video submissions. And yeah, I don't do a lot of the stuff with the writing. I love the ability to create some content, and posting videos on there is super easy. So maybe there's some EdTech fare that you would like to get involved with. Maybe you want to become a Google certified trainer, Google educator, whatever. I really don't pay much attention to that because I do that without getting the certificates. Maybe you want to be a Microsoft expert. I don't know. Get more ingrained with common sense media and what's good and what's appropriate. Learn an EdTech tool. Go to YouTube University. There's plenty of resources out there for you to learn and experiment and try and see where it fits in. Maybe there's an AI tool that you want to try, whether you want to work on your prompt writing, ChatGPT, Magic School, School AI. There's obviously a plethora of tools available for education technology. Pick one. Expand your skill set with one tool, or take the time to dive into new features that maybe you didn't get to implement this year. Again, so many tools. Check them out. Number 3, attend a conference over the summer. You've got ISTE that happens every June. You've got ed camps that happen all over the country. Although, I'll be honest, I'm starting to feel like ed camps are not dying, but I feel like ed camps are dead. Even though I run one, Ed Camp New Jersey, So I'm recording this on June 1st. EdCamp New Jersey is going to take place on August 14th, 2025 at Monmouth University. So we are trying something new. We have moved EdCamp New Jersey from from November to the summer. So we are going to Monmouth University. And if you're listening to this before that, go to edcampnj.com and you can register for EdCamp New Jersey. It's free. It's an unconference. You get to take control of your professional development, and it's going to be a great time down at the Jersey Shore. And if we've never met or had a conversation, I'd love to meet you at EdCamp New Jersey. There's also things like ASCD, NCTE. So depending on your role or your area in education, I'm sure there is some type of event that's either in person or virtual that you could attend over the summer. Number 4, and you might be thinking, we're listening to Podcast PD, and you haven't talked about any podcasts yet. Well, listen to podcasts over the summer. Whether you're laying on the beach, going for a walk, riding your bike, taking a flight, podcasts can go anywhere. That's why we love creating them. That's why I love listening to them, because I can do something else while I podcast, and you can too. Of course, I recommend everything on the Education Podcast Network. If you want to, for example, do more with education technology, why don't you check out the House of Ed Tech? That's my podcast that I host by myself. Now, you might be thinking, if this is your first time listening, you're hosting Podcast PD by yourself. That's because my co-host, the podcast paisano, AJ, is not here, and that's okay. Podcasts can take different forms. They're like water. They will fill the container and conform to it. Or maybe it's like Jell-O. I don't know. Whatever you're interested in, Google it and add the word podcast to your search. So many podcasts available to entertain, educate. They'll make you think, they'll make you laugh. If there's a particular podcast that you are getting into or that you're listening, would love to hear your recommendation. So definitely shoot AJ and I an email, feedback@podcastpd.com, or hit us up on social media. Once again, we are at podcastpd.com on Blue Sky. I am at Mr. Nessie on Blue Sky, and AJ is at AJ Bianco on Blue Sky. Number 5, consider taking an actual course. Maybe you could find something on Coursera, or another organization is offering micro-credentials, or there's a badge you can earn. Again, so many opportunities for professional development and professional growth. We've always said here on the show at times, would you want to go to a lawyer that was not up on current law to represent you in the legal system? Would you want to go to a doctor that wasn't up to date on the latest medical practices? I wouldn't. So why would I want a teacher who is also not current or willing to put in the work or the time to grow and improve at their profession? So find ways to grow and learn and expand your knowledge in the field. Maybe, number 6, we're going to kind of keep moving here. Maybe it's time to plan or redesign some curriculum. Maybe you can use the summer to integrate more universal design for learning or UDL practices. Maybe you want to incorporate more social emotional learning into your teaching and your classroom. Maybe you want to do more technology integration into your lessons. Summer is a great time to plan. You could do that on the beach. You could bring your notebook, take an audio note to yourself, and jot down those ideas. Go through your curriculum. And number 7, maybe do what I'm going to call un-PD. Take some time to reflect, recharge, and like I'm going to do, rediscover your why. Read for fun. Travel. Journal. You've got a lot of time. Maybe this is the opportunity over the next 8 or 9 weeks to take up a new hobby. It all contributes to who you are as a person And who you are as a person is going to impact who you are in this profession. Whether you are a classroom teacher, a school administrator, you've got to take the opportunity to grow. And maybe for some, that is do nothing. Not because you are perfect and pompous and you've got it all figured out, but maybe that's what your brain needs to actually grow, to give it a rest. Maybe you do nothing but stress yourself out from the start of the school year to the end of the school year. Now maybe it's time to relax. Sounds simple. I know it's not always easy, but whatever path you choose here in the summer, it'll be worth it. And maybe you're retired. Maybe you're still listening to this podcast and you just finished your career. Well, first, thank you. Thank you for doing what you've done in your career. And enjoy every day being Saturday. One thing I'll share here at the end before we bid you adieu until the end of July, or not the end of July, until the end of June, beginning of July, again, because we do these episodes monthly, so we will be here over the summer. My wife and I, the incomparable Mrs. Nessie and I, we approach summer with the following mentality. It's like we are semi-retired. It's beautiful. We take the kids to, a few activities over the summer, have some day trips, but it's a nice taste of what is retirement going to be like. Thank goodness I have all the podcasting stuff because I'm always working on whatever the next big idea in my mind is for a podcast. Anyway, I want to thank you for listening to this episode of PodcastPD. I believe that there is value in this episode, and I hope that you take the time to maybe re-listen or pull out one or two nuggets of things you can do over your summer break as you end the school year and go into your long summer vacation. That is, let's be honest, it is well deserved. And I'm happy that I did this episode. Wanted to get these things out into the world. AJ should be back for the next episode, which will come your way at the end of June. And if I'm looking at the calendar, which I am, that'll come your way. We'll be live again on June 29th. Next weekend is the 4th of July weekend, so we wouldn't do it then. So look for us on June 29th, and we will be with you through the summer. And I want to thank you for being a part of Podcast PD. Send us feedback at podcastpd.com. Hit us up on the socials. And if you got value, share this episode with a friend. Once again, my name is Chris Nessie. Thanks for listening to Podcast PD, and I'll see you next time. Take care.